Hello, this is Greg from SharePoint Maven, and in this tutorial I will show you and explain to you how to create and share newsletters and news digests in SharePoint Online. Now, before we proceed, I want to kind of be on the same page with you in terms of terminology, and let me first explain to you what I mean by newsletters and news digests. So, by newsletter, I imply a single announcement. So, here, what you see right now on the screen is a company intranet built in SharePoint Online. And I have this company news. This utilizes the news web part, which we will spend a bit of time on today. And it contains a few announcements. So if you just want to send a single announcement, all right, like this one to your audience, this is what I mean by by newsletter. News Digest, in contrast, is a series of announcements. So let's say you have several news posts, and let's say I have about 10 articles here, and maybe I want to send 5 of them as a news digest to my employees, to my audience. That's what I imply by news digest. So essentially what I will show you in this tutorial is how to create those announcements, what kind of templates you should be using, how to share them with your audience, once again, as a single announcement or a series of announcements. Now, before we get into the specifics, there are actually, believe it or not, a total of 10 steps involved in terms of instructions that I will detail for you in this video. And just to let you know, I have actually written a number of blog posts on on the same topic in the previous years. So for those of you who are following my blog, you probably read some of them. And however, recently there have been some major updates in terms of the functionality. We got some new templates available for the newsletters. We got some additional functionalities in terms of being able to create and share news digests. So I thought of recording this tutorial, but I also created essentially updated a blog post as well. So in the description of this video, you will see a link to the blog post that essentially details the same exact instructions and provides a little bit more, maybe some details and information and nuances about the features I'm about to show you. So let's proceed with step number one. And step number one is, is to make sure that you have the right type of site. All right. Before I start showing you how to create all these different newsletters and news digests, it's very, very important to have the right type of site first. Let me explain. So in SharePoint, we have two types of sites that you can create. Well, two major ones. You can actually create some additional ones, but two major ones: a communication site template and a team site template. What you see right now on the screen is a communication site template. All right, a communication site is a type of site you use for one-way communication. And in most cases, when you are creating a newsletter, right, if your purpose is to create newsletters, news digests, send them out, you do want to make sure that you have a communication site template. Why? Because again, the objective here is, I assume, one-way information sharing. All right. Typically, a communication site would be accessible by either the whole organization or majority of the organization. So once again, for example, what you see right now on the screen is obviously a company, intranet home site, and obviously when I created the site, I utilized the communication site template. Let me show you another example. Here is an example of another department, human resources, employee-facing site. But once again, the focus here is the employee-facing side of things, right? The idea behind this site, this is not a restricted, this is not a private HR site. This site is managed by HR department, human resources department, but again, the audience here is everyone within the organization. So the idea is that if we go and check out site permissions, for example, is that HR will be the members and owners, and everyone else within the organization will be the visitors, read only. All right. And the reason we want to make sure that this is the case is because, right, if you create announcements, let's say on a private site, then obviously when you send them out, they will be restricted by the security of the site. Let me just give you another example. All right, so I'm going to navigate to another site. This happens to be a team site. This is what a team site looks like. This is the second type of template that we have in SharePoint. And this is the type of site that is connected to Microsoft 365 groups, to Microsoft Teams in my case. And if you notice over here, all right, it only contains two members, all right, Greg and Mary. So if I create some announcements here and send them out, guess what? I can send an email to whoever I want, but the only people who will be able to read them are the people who are the members of the team. Now, again, in majority of use cases, you probably will create a communication site. There might be obviously use cases when you might want to create your newsletters and news digests on a team site, right? Let's say it's a private, restricted project site. Maybe it's a project site, and only 10 project team members have access to it, and you are about to send a project update here. And your audience essentially is just the people of the project team, right? Then in this case it's a valid scenario, and you do have a limited audience. But again, in majority of the use cases, you will have and probably should have a communication site, created a site created based on communication site template. So let's actually take care of that. If you, let's assume you don't have a communication site created for you just yet. Obviously, if you have one, then you need to skip the step, but let's go ahead and create a communication site. So there are multiple ways to do so, but if you navigate to the SharePoint start page, by the way, if you don't get to see the option to create a site, all right, so this create a site option is enabled by default in SharePoint tenants, but if it's not available, if you cannot create essentially a site yourself, then you would need to request one from your IT department. But after you click the create a site button, these are the two templates I just mentioned to you, right? The two major site types that we have in SharePoint: communication site and a team site. Again, in majority of use cases for the newsletters, right? If you are trying to create a site where you will manage company-wide newsletters and news digests, let's proceed. We will need to proceed with communication site. All right, so it actually tells you, here you can engage, dozens or thousands of viewers. All right, so that's our focus here. So I'm going to choose that. Now, obviously, we can create any type of site template. I actually explained how these templates, work in one of my earlier videos, but let's skip this step. We'll just proceed with the basic, kind of look and feel. We choose this basic template. We use this template, and this is where we give our site a name. It could be whatever you want it to be, right? Communications, or whatever name of the department is. I'll just proceed with this particular name. Obviously, in the background, it wants to make sure that the URL is available. It has to be unique, which it is in my case, and we click next. And yeah, we'll default to this default tenant language, and we'll create a site. So right now it's spinning the wheel. It's actually creating a site and applying that template that I have chosen. So here it is. This is essentially what a communication site template looks like out of the box once created. So we just completed step number one. We we created a communication type of site. Let's proceed with step number two. And step number two has nothing to do with newsletter creation just yet, but a very, very important step, and that is we need to set the proper security. All right, because a little bit later in the following steps, I will show you, how to create news and announcements. But if we send them out, nobody will be able to see them, yet. When the users, get their emails, click on the links, they will not be able to access any of those announcements. Why? Because you have to have the proper security set up for the site. At the moment, I created this communication department site, and I'm the only one who can access it at the moment. All right, so nobody else can. So let's fix this. So to manage the permissions for the site, you can either click on Site Access over here, or gear icon, Site Permissions. And it's pretty much the same thing. You're going to see the same thing here. And what you're going to see are the three SharePoint security groups. All right, this is fundamental. All right, this is how we manage permissions on communication sites. On team sites, we manage it differently because team sites are managed by Microsoft 365 groups. On communication sites, we manage it through this three, essentially security groups: visitors, members, owners. Visitors are read-only people. These are the users who can only read and download, nothing else. Members are add, edit, delete people. When I say add, edit, delete, I mean content. All right. So whoever I add as a member, they will be able to add pages, add announcements, delete them, edit them. Same with documents, but they will not be able to delete a site. All right. Owners, I mean, essentially admins, full control people. And these are the people who can delete a site if necessary, if need be. So here's a use case. Let's say I'm in charge of this communication department, and I have my colleague Mary who will help me out with creating those announcements. All right. So I'm going to click Share Site, and I'm going to invite Mary. And I need to assign proper permission level to Mary. In our case, edit, because I want Mary to edit the announcements. Click Add. And let's see what just happened. Look at this. Mary is in the members group. So Mary can now help me create those announcements and manage the look and feel of my department site. At the same time, remember, our audience is everyone within the organization. We want everyone to read those newsletters and news digests. So we are going to add them here. Now you click Share Site. Now obviously you can start typing, all the names in, right? But let's say we're talking about hundreds of people, right? Maybe even thousands. If you want to quickly add everyone within your organization, just type in everyone. And as you start typing it in, this default group will pop up, come up, everyone except external users. And essentially, it is what it says. This is the group that exists in each and every environment, each and every SharePoint tenant, each and every organization. This is not a group UIT created or I created. This is a group that Microsoft created for us. As people come and go, and as UIT manages your users in the directory, right? Essentially, they are reflected in this group. All right, and everyone within your domain, everyone within your organization is automatically included. So if you hire somebody new tomorrow, they will be part of the group. All right. So it's a really quick way to add everyone to your site. And yeah, obviously, very important, does not include any external users. So if there are some external users that exist in your tenant, in your directory, don't worry, they're not part of the group. All right. So in this case, again, three permission levels we can assign. We'll leave it as is, as read. And you don't need to actually uncheck this. It's smart enough never to send an email to thousands of users. So even if you leave this on, don't worry. But let's just uncheck it and click Add. And, here we go. All right, essentially at this point, we set up the proper permissions. So now any announcement we create, we can be rest assured that essentially the proper people, the users, our employees, will be able to read the announcement and access it, and they will not get an ugly, access denied type of message. All right, now that we did all this important background work, we created the site, we set up the proper permissions. Let's now get into the super important details about the subject of this tutorial, the news web part. So step number 3, before we proceed, would be for you to get familiar with the news web part. Now, most communication site templates, when you create one, remember when I created this communication site, I had to choose the proper type of template, and most templates already contain this news web part. All right, so it already should be part of your site. And this is just happens to be obviously one of the most popular web parts. It actually happens to be one of my favorite web parts. Now, in case if it doesn't exist on your site for some reason, don't worry. You can easily add it to your site, to your page. Let me show you how to do that. So obviously we already have one, but just edit the page. So your page goes into the edit mode, and let's add it at the bottom somewhere. I'm going to add a section or a column, maybe break it into 3 columns. And I'm going to add it, right here for you. Let's do it. You click the plus sign. You're going to see a list of all the available out-of-the-box, web parts that exist. And the news web part will exist. Essentially, you will see it on the list. All right. And by the way, you can either scroll down or, just start typing it in, just like that. You see. And in case if you don't have the widget, the web part on your on your page, just make sure to add it. But I just added it to the page. But another thing I encourage you to do is just click on this pencil icon. Why? Because I want you to get familiar with the capabilities of this web part. All right, it will be super important for you to understand what's possible, and we will actually have to go through some of the settings during this tutorial. But just to let you know, this news web part is quite capable. You can actually pull the news from other sites. All right, so there is a feature for that. You can change, the styling, the layouts of your widget, of the web part. You can select a different number of posts to show. You can either display, some of the characteristics of the news post, like author and date. You can filter the news, widget maybe, and show only specific announcements. And finally, you can reorganize the news as necessary. I actually recorded a tutorial just recently, the top 10 web parts for SharePoint intranet. And I actually explained, news web part was one of them, and I actually explained in greater detail and showed some examples. So if you're interested in learning, more about the capabilities of the news web part, feel free to check out that other video I mentioned. But yeah, once again, for the purpose of this tutorial, I do encourage you that you just, edit the page, click the pencil icon and check out what's possible. Play with some of those settings because you will definitely find them super beneficial. All right, let us now proceed with step number 4. And step number 4 is for you to get familiar with the two different types of announcements you can create: news post and news link. Let me explain to you the difference. Um, News link is for situations when you want to maybe link to some announcement that already exists somewhere on the web. All right, it could be some article in the newspaper, somebody's blog, any essentially resource with the URL. All right. So, for example, for this purpose, I'm going to take this particular blog that I have written, and I'm going to paste it over here. And what happens, actually the same thing happens as if you are adding an announcement, a URL on Facebook or LinkedIn. It actually extracts the information from that article, the image, the title, a brief description, and populates everything for you. So you really don't need to do anything, all right? All you need to do is just click post, and the announcement will be populated in your news web part. So nice and easy. So essentially, every time you already have some article somewhere on the web, just create a news link and populate it, and here it is. You don't need to do anything else. All right. In contrast, news post is for situations when you want to create your own announcement, right? Like welcome employee, or status update or sales update and so on. Now I will proceed and explain to you all this templates in the following steps. For now, just kind of explaining to you this news post feature. So and essentially this is once again for situations when you want to create your own announcement, and you have to essentially do the hard work here and add some, a text and add the announcement itself. All right, and once you post it, once again, it will be added to the news web part. The announcements, by the way, are added in reverse chronological order. All right, as you can see, I have two announcements here, and obviously this was the recent one, so it's on top at the moment. All right. And yeah, I mean, these are the two different types. Super important for you to understand the difference. All right. Now, the next step that is super important and necessary, step number 5, you need to get familiar with the site pages library. Let me explain to you what I'm talking about. So, when you create a site, right, you typically have a document library created for you. Well, you always have a document library created for you, and that's where you store documents, things like, Office documents, Word, Excel, PDF, PowerPoints, and so on. Well, we have another type of library that you will really need to get familiar with, and that's called Site Pages Library. And let me first show you how to find it, how to navigate it, navigate to it, and then I'll explain to you why it is super important. So if you see in the navigation the word Site Contents, that's like a shortcut for you to that Site Pages Library. But if you don't, no worries, just follow the steps. Gear icon, Site Contents. All right, and you're going to see the contents of your site. And we see this default document library and a few other libraries, but we also have another library. It's called page library called Site Pages. Let's click. Look what we see here. We see all the pages that got created on a site. Now we already have 3 pages. Why? So we have this home page, right? This is this home page that essentially got created, right? When you create a site, it creates a page for you. All right, this is it. But let me now navigate back. We have 2 other pages. What are those? Well, you might recognize those as announcements that we just created. And this is super important. Every time you create an announcement, on your within the news web part, it actually creates another page in SharePoint, for you. So remember this one and this one. All right. So if I need to access this announcement, maybe you have, I don't know, like 20, 30 of them here. Here we go. All right. Just like that. And maybe, right, you have an old announcement that you created. You can easily, delete it if necessary, and essentially, you work with those pages as if they're pretty much like documents in a regular document library. But you will definitely navigate here quite often. As a matter of fact, at the very end of this tutorial, I will show you a really nice trick as well related to the Site Pages library. But for now, once again, navigate to that library, see what's available there, create a few announcements, and you should definitely see them appear within the Site Pages library. All right, let us now proceed with the next step, step number 6. And that is, let's get familiar with the new made for email templates. Now, this is actually related. Remember earlier in this video, I mentioned this additional functionality that was added recently by Microsoft. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We actually did not have it up until recently. But let me explain to you what I'm talking about. So when you create a new, again, let's say we want to create our own announcement, right? So we click on news post. So up until recently, we only saw kind of this section, all right? We could create all these different announcements. And let's start with the blank, all right? Let's just start with the blank announcement again. And of course, um, we give it a title. We, let's change a header image, I guess. All right. So yeah, this is super cute. I'll choose that. All right, perfect. And then, of course, this is where you would be creating your announcement, right? Now, typically, your announcement would be what? Text and images, right? That's essentially what typically announcements are, right? Maybe some videos. But if you notice, just like I mentioned already, every time you create an announcement, it creates another page, and this behaves like as if you're creating any regular standard page on your SharePoint site. So if you click the plus sign, you get all of this other web parts. Essentially the same web parts you get on a standard page. In all honesty, right, when you create an announcement, majority of those are not even relevant. All right, majority of those are not even relevant. This is not something you would be putting on announcements. Things even like, like I don't know, weather and locations and and many other widgets that are just not relevant to the announcements, right? Typically, it would be just text and images. And essentially, that's the change that has occurred recently. Let's post it, I guess. All right, let's go back. And so here it is. Remember, appearing on the top in the reverse chronological order. So let's click News Post again. So what actually has happened, Microsoft recently updated this interface and released made for email templates. And essentially what they are, let me just choose one of them. I guess, this is a newsletter, so let's proceed with that, all right? And I will actually demonstrate the whole functionality in a second. For now, just kind of explaining to you the concept of those templates. So let's do that. Essentially, what those made for email templates are, they already come prepackaged with a certain look and feel. So they already contain images, some nice layout options. As you can see, right, I didn't have to, split it into sections, columns. I already pretty much have the newsletter put for me, together. All I have to do is just maybe update some titles, obviously maybe some images, and so on. But here is the most important piece here. Let me show it to you. Look at this. If I click the plus sign and try to add the web parts, I don't have those whatever 20, 30 web parts you saw previously. You have a very, very limited selection. And the reason for that is because, again, for newsletters, you typically add text, images, right? Maybe some obviously links. But this essentially, these templates were optimized not just for the news post, but also for the newsletters, for the ability to send an email. Because when you send an email, and I'll demonstrate it to you a little bit later, you end up with the newsletter embedded right within the email of the recipient. So you do want whatever components, you really don't want anything heavy. You really don't want anything that will not render properly on the user's, screen, right, when they receive an email. So essentially, they made it easy for the creators of the news post, right? You're not overwhelmed with all this 20, 30, widgets, web parts. You really just have the necessary web parts to create your announcements and send them by email. So that's essentially the primary, difference. Once again, a few differences. Essentially those templates are just pretty much prepackaged pages, if you will, right? A news post where you just have to, you have the generic idea, right? And maybe just, change the images, obviously change the content itself. The second primary difference is the fact that we have a very limited, on purpose, selection of web parts. And the third difference that I will show it to you, you instant remember when I was creating a regular news post, right? We just have the post button. Here it's post and send. So with one click, you can not only create an announcement and post it to your news web part, you can also send it to your audience via the email. And I'll show it to you in the next step. All right, so we finally got to the point where I'm about to show you how to create newsletters and news digests. Now, all these previous steps were kind of the prep work, but in my opinion, it was necessary. But now let's proceed with step number 7, and that is how to create a newsletter, a single essentially announcement that you want to share. And the following step, step number 8, will be for the news digest when you want to share not just a single announcement, but a series of announcements. All right, so once again, let's proceed with step number 7, and that is creating a single announcement, a single newsletter, and sharing it with our audience. So I'm going to click Add News Post, of course. Again, because we're not just creating a post that we want to be posted to the news web part, and that's it. We are trying to create an announcement ourselves. By the way, we can start with a blank one too and put it together, right? Essentially, again, this any of those templates will be kind of optimized and will have this limited selection of web parts. But you know what? Let's take a shortcut and I'm going to proceed. Let's pretend I want to give some sort of update. So I'm going to proceed with this particular template. So you choose it from the list. And by the way, I will also, once I'm done showing you how to create newsletters and news digests, I will also show you how you can create your own company template. All right. In case if you want to create your own look and feel for the periodic announcement that you create, I will show you that trick as well. All right. A little bit later in this video. All right, perfect. For now, I just chose this status update template. So I'm going to create a post, and well, it could be anything, right? Project update, yeah, whatever you want it to be. And of course, at this point, this is where you make the changes to the content that was created for you automatically. So you do need to essentially proceed and adjust the images and maybe delete certain sections, right? Some of it might not be relevant. But let's skip this particular part. I want to essentially now show you how to send that out. So let's pretend I finished editing. I did what I wanted, to do to this announcement. At this point in the upper right-hand corner, you need to click Post and Send. All right. So at this point, I don't know if you noticed, but it kind of told you posting. At this point, if I go to the home page, you will actually see this announcement posted. Yeah, it even tells us right here in green, your news is posted. So the news this particular announcement is already posted to the news web part. But you also have the ability to essentially send it right now as well. Now, if you are not ready to send, and maybe you want to send it later, all right, you can actually do so, and you can click this X and close it out. But in our case, let's proceed, and I do want to send it out. In the to field, of course, where you specify who the recipients are. Maybe in your case, right, if you would need to have a distribution list for your organization, all right. But in my case, let's just pretend this is some project update I'm sending. So I'm populating this right here. And you know what, I want to maybe CC, Mary, all right, from another department. Here we go. And this is the subject of your newsletter, I guess. And you can also provide some description. Now, hopefully you noticed, it essentially embeds the entire news post into the body of the email. And that's why it was super important. Remember when I told you that we had this very limited selection of web parts? Essentially, when we put this news post together, that's why, right? We wanted whatever web parts were left, the basics, text, images, to be optimized for the email distribution, right? So you have this nice layout that is email friendly. And once again, you can provide an optional description here and click send. Now, by the way, there is this toggle over here. I honestly don't think this is necessary to turn it on, but in case if instead of the embedded email, you want just a link being sent to this news post, you just would need to enable this toggle switch. But in my opinion, I don't see why it's necessary, right? I mean, this is super user friendly and the user does see the update right within the body of the email. So essentially, you just populate all of this and click send, and you will get a confirmation that the email has been sent. Now, let me show you a few things. So before I show to you how, what happens, on the recipient side of things, what the experience is, let me show you a few more things. So first of all, remember with this post and send, button, we posted it to the news web part and sent it via email. So at that point, the essentially the news post was published to the news web part. All right, so that's what happened. The next thing that obviously happened, let's go to site pages library. Essentially, yeah, it creates the actual page, the actual page within the site pages library. So remember, for each and every announcement, it does create a page in the site pages library. So in case if we need to access this post maybe 3 months down the road and it doesn't appear in our news web part, you can access it through the site pages library. And then let's now check out the experience for our users. So I'm logged in this browser as Mary. Remember, I sent my announcement to Mary. So Mary receives an email just like that, and she clicks. And essentially, yeah, everything that we put in, the subject, the title and everything, the description, everything, and the whole email, essentially the whole news post is embedded into the subject, essentially into the body of the email. All right. And the user can click through and obviously access the same announcement right on the SharePoint site, but they don't have to. All right. Very, very user friendly. Essentially, they have this whole newsletter populated in the body of the email. So a pretty user friendly experience. All right, so I just showed you how to send a newsletter, essentially a single announcement. Let's now move on to step number 8, and that is the news digest, all right? The ability to send multiple announcements within the same email. We do have that functionality as well. So here's a use case for you. I just showed you how to send a single announcement, but let's just say, you know what, I want to send 2 or 3 of them. So I want to send this one and maybe this one and maybe this one, all right? And obviously you might have 20, 30 announcements here, and maybe some of them will be showing, but you want to be pretty selective what to send. So let me show you how to do that. So the first step is to access the news digest functionality. Now, to access the news digest functionality, you would need to navigate to the news web part, and you would need to click see all link. Now, you obviously don't see one right now, right? I'm telling you to click it, you don't see one. And let me explain to you why. This is where we need to go behind the scenes and adjust some settings. Let me explain to you what's happening here. Let me edit the page. And it's, in my opinion, it's a bit weird how how it works, but this is how it is. So you just need to remember this. I'm going to click the edit button. I'm editing the news web part. Remember some of the settings I asked you to get familiar with. It says number of news posts to show. All right. In order for the see all link to appear, the number of news posts you need to have should exceed this number over here. Because remember, I only have 4 news posts and it's equal to, essentially 4 that it's showing here. It doesn't, it doesn't display this see all for me. So you have two options. Either you create another announcement, so we now have 5 or 6 announcements, and then see all will appear, or I'm going to say number of news posts to show 2. All right, so I'm only limiting, even though I have 4 news posts, I'm saying tell in SharePoint, no, only display the last 2 in here. And look what happened. See all does appear in the upper right hand corner. So in case if you're trying to follow this tutorial, see all is not there, the fix is pretty easy. Just either add several announcements, all right, so you exceed that number, or just reduce the number, all right, over here. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I don't want to create any more announcements. So I'm going to republish it. And now we do get to see all right. And again, let's just follow the prompts and we click see all. And now we are in the news digest territory. You have two options here. Manage posts just pretty much navigates you back to the site pages library where you can whatever delete or access all of those news pages. We don't need to do that. We would like to send out a news digest. And of course, if you notice by default, I think it displays them all in here. I'm going to choose email and news digest option. Now on this next screen, this is where you get to choose what it is that you're going to email to the user. So look, you might have maybe 20, 30 of them. I want to send this one, and this one. All right, so you just select the 3, maybe, or whatever, 5, 10 you want to send within the same email. All right, and you click next. And then on the next screen, this is where you put your news digest together. So you need to provide a few pieces of information. So I'm going to, just give it a name, I guess. This is once again where you specify who you want to send this to. In my case, I populated, Mary, but it could be a, distribution list. All right. This is the optional message, latest news. All right. Whatever you want to put in. Now, this next area, it's super easy to skip it, but I find it super, convenient. So it puts all the announcements in a reverse chronological order. But you know what? You can actually rearrange it right here by dragging this arrows, you see? So you can actually, by the way, you can remove the announcements if you wish. All right, maybe you change your mind. But you know what? I just want it in this particular order to be sent. And that's all. You just essentially send news digest. And at this point, you get an email. You obviously the recipients will get an email, but you also get kind of it disappeared on us quickly, a quick confirmation that the news digest has been sent. Now, let me show you a few things. First, let's see what the experience is for the recipient when they receive that email. And then I want to show you something else as well. All right. So that was the old newsletter we sent. Here is a newer email, just like that. All right, just like that. All right. What you see is what you get. All right. And yeah, super user-friendly email in my opinion. So this is what it looks like. All right, with the title and description that we gave it. And remember, I changed the order of my announcements now, and the user can click on each and every announcement and read it further. All right, just like a typical newsletter that you might receive in your emails, right? A little bit of a preview for each and every article, and then when you click, you go to the actual source. So that was that, but let me show you something else, and that's super important as well. So I'm going to navigate to the site contents again and site pages library. Look at this. Let me delete. By the way, this happens when you start creating a page and then don't give it a title or publish it, so we can delete those. But let me show you something else. Look at this. When we created this news digest, another page got created in the site pages library. Remember, we get a page for each and every announcement you create. Well, we get one for the news digest as well. So let's say I created this news digest. I want to go back to it. And here it is. Here it is. A separate page got created when I created this particular news digest. Now, what's interesting about this page, you cannot edit it. All right. Remember, if that was a regular announcement, I could edit, make changes and, adjust it. The news digest is fixed. All right. It's fixed. Obviously, it was created at one point, and this is how it will appear going forward for historical purposes. So you cannot make any further adjustments, all right? This is set in history. The only thing you can do here is send another email. So for example, let's say you created a news digest last week, and then maybe some people didn't get it, or you want few other folks to receive that same news digest. You can resend it from here, and essentially it's available here for historical purposes. So in my opinion, this concept is super important as you create all these different newsletters and announcements and news digests. You pretty much have a history of them, all organized for you within the site pages library. So what I want to do now, we completed 8 steps, believe it or not. We have 2 more, all right? And these 2 additional steps are kind of bonus steps I decided to include in this tutorial, and include a few tricks for you that will make your, I guess, news communication site a little bit more efficient, for you to manage. So step number 9, which is a little trick I want to show you. I want to show you how to create essentially your own template for the announcements. All right. So remember when we created our newsletters, right? I went with one of those existing Microsoft templates. Let's put one together for our organization. All right. I'll try to do it quickly here. And we are just going to create a brief template here. All right, so I'm going to give it a name. Doesn't really matter. All right, I'm going to I want each and every announcement to have this header area. And, once again, let's just proceed with one of these attractive backgrounds, just like that. And you know what? I want each and every announcement to maybe be, to have this kind of look and feel. And you know what? Let's even go with one of those beautiful section backgrounds we now have. And you know what? Over here, everyone should maybe stick an image. All right, maybe. All right, once again, let's pick one. Here we go. And this will be the kind of the main area for the text. Okay, your text goes here. So I just want everyone to stick to this kind of look and feel in terms of the template. All right, so just like that. All right. So that's good enough. All right, for now, just trying to explain to you how to create a template. You can obviously make it pretty as necessary. All right, so the next step, we need to convert it into the template. So I'm going to um, click post, even though it says post and send, we are not going to send it. So that's why I'm trying to skip this, right? I published this news post, but we are going to convert it into the template. We're not sending it, all right? So here is how to convert this to the actual template. You click the promote option, and one of the options over here will be save as page template. And this is where you give your template a name. All right. So as you can see, it sticks with the look and feel that we gave. So company news post template. That's the official name of our template. And then you click in the upper right hand corner, Save Page Template button, just like that. All right. So the template has been created. Let me show you what actually happened, behind the scenes. All right. And then I'll show you how to now create your new announcements based on this template. So we navigate once again to the site pages library. That's why one of the earliest steps was the site pages library. I promise you we will be spending lots of time in here. Look what happened. In addition to all these pages and news posts that we now have another folder created called templates, and this is where all the templates that you create are stored. By the way, you can have multiple templates, right? You can have multiple templates. All of those will reside in the within the site pages templates folder. Now, how do we create a new essentially a new announcement based on our template? So you would need to click Add News Post. And instead of, by default, you get from Microsoft tab, click Saved on this site. And here it is. Now, here's another trick I want to show you. So obviously, right, this is an extra step. I mean, let's say you have several people working for your department, and they might just miss this, right? They need to click here and choose this. You can actually set this as a default. So you click three dots and say Set Default Selection, and click OK. And I'm going to cancel out of here because I want to refresh the screen and show you what has actually happened. So I'm back at the home page trying to create a new announcement now. After I set this template as a default, add news post. Look at this. Now it automatically jumps to saved on this site tab, and it shows me essentially all the templates that I have, saved here. All right, and in this particular case, made a default. So I can still proceed with one of the Microsoft ones, but now I made this a default, and from now on, right, it's just a matter of selecting the template and posting and sending your announcement. So super useful feature. Let me show you another trick. So that's actually our last step for this tutorial, step number 10. I want to show you how to add a promoted state column to the site pages library. Let me explain to you what this trick is all about. So as you create your announcements, right, and maybe you have tons of pages, many, hundreds of announcements on your site. So let me just quickly maybe create one, uh, another announcement, all right, just like that. And you know what? I started this announcement. But you know what? I didn't publish it. I just save it as a draft. So I have all this different. Okay, I guess it doesn't allow me to do that. Let's refresh my screen again. So in this particular case, I just started the announcement. I didn't post it. I just kind of saved it. But the bottom line is I have a bunch of those announcements, on my site. Now, let's go to the site contents, site pages library. And of course, I have all these different announcements appearing over here. And sometimes it's hard to distinguish, right? Which one is which? I mean, is it a regular page? Is it an announcement I just created? So let me show you a trick. What you want to do in this site pages library is add column, show or hide columns. And the column you want is this promoted state one, all right? And click apply. And you will now get this extra column with some numbers. Let me now explain to you what those numbers mean. I wish it was a little bit more user-friendly, but here it is. You get three different numbers: zeros, ones, or twos. Zeros are the regular standard SharePoint pages. Remember my home page, remember that News Digest page. All right, that's a page. That's a zero. One and two, that means, if you see a bunch of one or mostly twos, I assume, one and two are news posts or news links. All right. Unfortunately, we wouldn't know by looking at the number, but one refers to the news post or news link that was created but was never published. Remember, I started this announcement, I never published it, so that's an unpublished one, all right? And twos, these are news posts or news links that have been published, all right? So we obviously see a bunch of, twos here. Why? Because we, published all those announcements. So again, I wish we had a little bit more granular, I guess, right, options in terms of differentiating between all those announcements and pages. But if you have lots of pages, if you have lots of different announcements, at least you can figure out, what is what just by looking at those numbers as well. All right, so this were the 10 steps on how to create newsletters and news digests within SharePoint Online. Hopefully you found this informative. Before I end this tutorial, I just wanted to mention that if you're looking for any assistance with SharePoint, I will be super, super happy to help. First of all, feel free to check out all the various resources I have on my blog. I do post on a regular basis, and you can find essentially step-by-step tutorials right on my blog, obviously, as well as on my YouTube channel. But if you are also looking for any assistance with SharePoint, I provide all sorts of services from hourly consulting to configuration assistance. If you need assistance, if you have a few questions here and there, I offer hourly consulting. If you need assistance with building an internet portal similar to what I showed you today, I can assist with that. I also help clients with document management and governance side of things. If your organization is looking for training, I offer both live and on-demand training options. Once again, all the information is right on my site, sharepointmaven.com, and you can also access all the services and all the training options right on my site as well. But for now, thank you very much for watching this tutorial. Hopefully you found this informative. Feel free to share any comments in the comments, right on my underneath this video, right on my YouTube channel. And thank you very much for watching, and looking forward to seeing you again on my YouTube channel. Have a great day. Bye-bye.